All right. Well, I'm like, my podcast is very informal, so I don't like...
I like it, dude. Yeah, we can just chat.
Just jam into it.
Yeah.
First, let me get the behind-the-scenes video for the Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
So they know that the Adam Webb came by to hang out with us.
Oh, look at that name. That's cool.
Adam Webb
Yo.
the building.
What's up?
Adam Webb in the building came to kick it on the Pathfinder podcast, so thanks so much, bro.
Let's go.
Let's get into it. Oh, my necklace is all hanging out. Whew. Okay, catching my breath from the sprint down to get the liquid death. All right, dude. So, yeah, this thing is awesome. That's what I've been filming all my stuff on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Built-in tripod.
Yeah, and it's like built-in little like gimbal and everything. Yeah, so it's like
that's cool.
Super sick, dude. Cool. All right, well, dude, we got Adam Webb in the building. Solar sales legend.
Thanks, bro.
Door-to-door legend. Author of the 6-Figure Summer, 7-Figure Summer. Really high level recruiting expert. Dude, just an all-around goat. So I'm like super stoked to get into it.
Thanks,
with you, man.
Yeah, I'm stoked to be here with you.
Let's freaking go. We had a little bit of some hiccups, but we made it.
Yeah, we're here, man. We're here.
Liquid Death sponsor.
LD, baby.
Hit that.
Oh,
the crack. Dude, so, yeah, the Pathfinder podcast is kind of like where you started from. And, dude, you've had, I think a massive amount of success, at least from my perspective. And, like, how you got to there. So, you were born, and then what happened?
Yes, I was born. That was the first step. First step in success, be born. Yeah, man, let's run it all the way back to the beginning. So, I had like a rocky start, I started kind of behind, I feel like most people. So, had a super fun childhood, grew up in San Diego. My parents divorced when I was like 8, and then that's when I became like really unsupervised as a kid. My mom worked the night shift like my whole life, and she was a single parent. My dad was around, but inconsistently. So, like, she would go to work, and I would just be
You'd
alone.
Be like, I'm free.
I would just be alone, yeah, like 8 years old, just home alone. And I grew up in this apartment complex with, like, all these other hoodlums. So, me and the homies just started getting into trouble pretty young. And really, like, petty, small stuff, nothing serious.
You weren't, like, stealing cars or anything?
We weren't stealing cars. But for, like, a solid 10 years straight, I really didn't like have any direction in my life and didn't really accomplish anything. Technically didn't graduate high school. Like,
no way, I didn't know
that. They
just
just kind of like slipped me through the cracks, I think, because they were sick of me. But I eventually like found myself as, a quasi-adult, like 22 years old, eventually moved up to Utah. And no one was really like telling me what to do at that point. I was just kind of on my own. And then it was like, well, what do I do now? Like, and what do I want for my life? And where do I kind of go from here? And so that's where I really started, like, taking things seriously and looking for a way to kind of catch up in life. And also introspecting and figuring out, like, okay, I only got one life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm eventually going to die. What do I want to have done while I was here on Spaceship Earth,
Yeah, literally.
So yeah, I mean that was kind of like my life leading up. That's kind of like the context for getting into sales and all that.
So you didn't have like any other jobs before like you got into sales?
I mean, I did. I made stained glass windows in San Diego for a little while. Yeah, that was like my odd job. I worked at Macy's department store. I guess that was maybe like my first introduction to sales, but it was kind of more order taking and just helping people. But yeah, I got into sales like that was like my first real job, kind of, I guess you could say.
That's a blessing, though. I know you feel like you said you started late, but I feel like you got lucky. Like, that's early.
I really did. I mean, 2007 was when I started doing door-to-door sales. So
dude,
the whole industry kind of started in, like, the late 90s. That was when everyone really started figuring out you can make a lot of money in it.
Oh, okay.
So the industry was pretty young when I started. I was lucky in that regard.
Yeah, there was, like, I mean, dude, I wish I would have gotten into, like, even self-development at, like, 22 or 21, like, and then leading into sales, I didn't learn those skills until way late, like 28, 29, so that's like a 10-year, runway.
Dude, it's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about recruiting, because there's still, like, today there are people that don't know this exists.
That's crazy, too. Dude, I feel like that when I read a book. I'm like, this information's been here since like 1945. Like, what?
But like that information just hadn't crossed your path. No one had showed it to you. You hadn't come across it. But like, had you had it 10 years ago, it would have changed the entire course of your life.
Yeah, you know? I mean, and it did, even at 30 years old, you know? So it's like, it's wild that, I mean, that's a great reason to be passionate about it. I didn't think about it like that because, you know, we're not like... I guess we do recruiting and stuff too, but I'm more like, let's get these systems working, everybody work the process, and then I guess the byproduct is that people's lives are going to completely change, you know?
Dude, it's it's wild how much information opportunity changes people's lives, you know? Dude. And yeah, I do wake up every day and feel like this pressure to go get the opportunity and get the information to as many people as possible and to just have as big of a positive influence on as many lives as I possibly can, you know?
Dude. So I have this like video concept I wrote down. It's like everyone wants like a big old stage, right? They want like the 100,000 followers or millions and billions of people. Yeah. And then they're going to change the world or do whatever, you know? But I think like if you impact your community like right now, like if you're nice to the gas station clerk and then the gas station clerk goes home and then they're nice to their child and their child is nice to the teacher and then the teacher impacts like, you know, whole classrooms, like... that makes a way bigger impact than like, dude, I gotta get 1 million followers and then I'll be important. Like, no, dude, you gotta impact now.
Yeah, because I define influence according to breadth and depth.
Whoa.
Like quantity and quality, you know? And everyone wants breadth. It's like, I want as many eyeballs as possible and I want to influence as many people as possible. But if that influence is really shallow, who's to say that like radically changing the course of one person's life isn't more meaningful in the grand scheme of things than just like kind of influencing or shallowly influencing 1,000 people?
Dude, bars, drop the mic.
And it could be that gas station clerk you just mentioned. Like, we're stressing about how to get, you know, more followers on Instagram or like a bigger stage, as you said, but like then we don't talk to the person that's right in front of us whose life could be completely changed by what we know.
Dude, 100%. I even like dude, I'm not in like direct, like I don't have a downline, a team, like I don't benefit directly from like bringing someone on. But if I see someone, dude, fire killing it like at Target or something, they have like the whatever they sell now, Comcast or phones or whatever, and they're like stopping people. I'm like, hey, dude, like I don't know if anybody's ever told you about this, but you would kill it in solar. Like I don't know what, you know, and so I always present the opportunity because if the skill is there, I'm like, dude. And you're standing here, then you must not know. Like, you know,
exactly.
Like, there's no way that you would be making that money for the skill you have.
Yeah.
Like, you know? Like, that's how I look at it. That's cool, I know my wife will be like, come on, we gotta go. I'm like, all right. Give me a second. Let me just send them to Instagram.
She's like, you don't even make money from that. You're like, I'm just trying to change lives over here.
We're making an impact.
That's cool.
Dude, okay, so you got into sales 2007, and then how'd that go?
So, like, not good at very first. I had no ambition for my life because we tend to just see the world within the context of what we know.
Right.
And what I knew to that point was that, like, I was a lazy bum who hadn't accomplished anything, you know? So when it's like, when my manager's like, hey, I need you to set a financial goal for this summer. Like, you're going to come knock doors. How much money do you think you can make? And in my head, I'm like, honestly, it would be kind of sick if I made like $12,000. That's what I was thinking, because I'm like, I could pay off my like $1,000 of credit card debt. I could fix my car, and I could like have a little bit of cash. And in my mind, that was like, that would be so sick, you know? Because my ambition was just down here.
First year.
And the coolest part about this job was being surrounded by people that had bigger vision, that had accomplished bigger things, because it just rubs off on you. Right. And so I went out that first summer and made $42,000.
Whoa!
Which at that point in my life was like the biggest level up ever. Like, it was inconceivable to me that I could go do that, you know?
Dude.
And so it changed my paradigm. It got me thinking where it's like, well, I didn't think I could do that. What other things are out there that I have never thought could be realities for me that are maybe possible?
Dude.
And it just started this process of like expanding vision, attacking vision, achieving vision, leveling up.
Awesome.
And it just repeated. Like, I got into door-to-door sales because I was broke, and it turned into a 16, 17-year career. Dude, and changed my life.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, what are some of the, like, challenges you faced? So, when you're, I mean, it's probably been a while, and I don't know if you could tap back into that, but, like, what are some of those, like, thoughts that helped you break that, like, paradigm? You know, because when people think they can't get past that, there's, like, a reason, and then somehow they break that mold of what they think, and then they move beyond it.
No, I remember. And honestly, I am a poor example of that. Because I really didn't break my own limiting beliefs. They were broken for me, and it took time. Like, I tell people all the time, what I did in 15 years, you can do in 5 if you don't make the mistake that I made, and that mistake was just thinking too small. So, for example, I stayed a rep. Granted, well, let me back up. So I went into it low rep mentality. Like, I'm bottom of the barrel. And I got a call from a leader who said, hey, Adam, and I respected this guy. And he said, Adam, I think you're a top performer. I think you could be the number 1 rep in the company. I think you could make hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I believed him.
Let's go.
And it changed my paradigm. And then I went and did that.
That's sick.
And then I was a top performing rep for 5 years, never envisioning myself as a manager or as a leader.
Right.
Until that vision was, like, forced upon me by the owner of the company. He's like, hey, we want you to go open this market. You're the guy. You can lead. You can inspire. You can manage. And I believed him.
Let's go.
And it broke my paradigm. And then I went and did that. And that process just repeated. And then I look back on 16 years of my career, and I'm like, why didn't I just go into it sales executive? Running companies. Like, that's your potential, Adam. Go attack that. And I would have just got there so much faster, you know? It's like, I just limited myself.
But you had to have had that experience, though, to be at, like, you're one of the, you know, you've been a sales executive at some of the top companies in the industry. So, like, I feel like you had to have learned that through the experience of that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think maybe, like, your first 5 years you'd be, like, straight to sales executive. Or do you think that's possible?
Well, you're just never going to exceed your self-concept for yourself. It's literally like a lid on a jar.
Yeah.
And we don't realize it, but we just screw that lid on all the time.
For no reason, right?
Maybe it does take you 10 years to develop the skill sets to be able to run large sales organizations, but it's going to take you 100 years if you don't believe that you're capable of doing that.
Yeah.
You'll actually never accomplish it.
That's so crazy, dude, that you say that because, I think the limit of, and I prove it to myself all the time, like, I think a thought and then it, like, creates itself. And out of the most, for example, dude, like, my wife was just like, I need a bigger wedding ring or stone or something. Our anniversary's coming up. Like, you need to get me something. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. You know, I put it in the back of my mind. Yeah. And then the jewelry company, the Sky Diamonds at Town Square, we did a project for them. They were totally stoked, and they pitched me an idea like, hey, would you be open to trade for, like, work? And I was like, dude, my wife actually wants a wedding ring. Look at that. So then we go in there, and the guy sells her on, like, a 3-carat stone or whatever, and she's, like, totally bought on it. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So we ended up trading the work for the stone, and it's like, that's how the universe works. It's like, if you don't have limiting beliefs on what you think is capable, like, I would have never paid, you know, 16 grand for that stone. Yeah. But the universe created it, and she got the result just from being open, just from being receptive. And it's the same with, like, everything. Like, you limit yourself to that, to what you think is possible. But if you can remove it and be open to, like, anything, then literally anything can happen.
Dude, 100%. All things are created twice. First in here.
Let's go.
And then out there.
Let's freaking go.
Ideate, then create. If it doesn't start here, it just never happens. Or, like in my case, it might happen randomly.
Right.
You might get lucky, which I did a couple times throughout my career when I had people, like, put those ideas in my head and give me opportunities and stuff. But it also could have never happened, and I could have just been a rep thinking that that was all I was capable of, you know?
Dude, well, and that goes to show, like, the importance of leadership and, like, that what you can implant in your, like, not plant seeds in your guys and really, like, drive them to become their best versions of themselves. So it's, like, important, right?
That is the key function of a leader, to see your people not as they currently are, but as they can be, and to inspire that vision in them so that they start thinking about themselves better. And the biggest mistake of leadership is holding your people down by seeing them as they currently are and getting ideas in your head about what they are and aren't capable of, and you don't realize it, but you inadvertently communicate that vision, good or bad,
right,
with your words, how you talk to them, the opportunities you give them.
Yeah, dude, and I'm huge on, like, the labeling, like, so, like,
Yeah.
let's just label them as that leader, as that person, and then, like, more 9 times out of 10 they're gonna rise up to the occasion, right? Unless,
Yeah.
Then if they don't, then it's like, okay, well, that was a test, and
Yeah.
But most people do want to be labeled as that, like, you're the type of person that can lead this office, that can make this happen, and then they become that person, right?
Yeah, absolutely, because they believe your vision. I went and knocked with a new rep yesterday. She's been with us a month, but in my conversations with her, it's like, hey, we need leaders to grow our organization. And, like, I'm just telling you, from the time we've spent, you have what it takes to be a leader within our org. And we actually need you to do that and want you to do that.
Yeah.
And then posted a pic of us knocking on Instagram, future sales VP in training.
Let's go.
Just putting that vision into people's heads so that they can actually have runway to go maximize their human potential. It's so
100%.
important.
Dude, so you went from top rep, you went from barrel rep, bottom of the barrel
High
rep.
school failure.
High school failure, bottom
Delinquent.
bottom rep, top producer, and then, like, onto an executive at, like, some of the biggest, companies in the game. So, like, from top producer to exec, what was that journey like?
Sales rep to
Oh.
assistant manager to regional manager to executive. Those were, like, the levels.
And then each level, like, they say new levels, new devils. What were some of, like, the biggest challenges you had to overcome to, like, really become that person?
It's hard, and people avoid it because it's kind of like starting over. Like, when you're a top performing sales rep, life's awesome. Like, you're at the top of your game, you're in your groove, and then when you take on the mantle of leadership and take on the responsibility of now teaching other people to have the same success you've had, it's like being a rookie again. You're at the bottom of this new game.
Right.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
Like, you're the lowest performing manager. You were the top performing rep. Now you're the lowest performing manager, and you have a new curve to try and scale, which can be painful.
Yeah.
So that's probably, like, the hardest part about it is just being willing to, like, you're not starting over because you keep dominating as a rep and making great money as you're transitioning to leadership. But, like, you got to go take your licks again and go figure stuff out again. And that's, a lot of people avoid it for that reason.
What would you say to, like, people that are like, well, I don't want to be a leader because I make less money and I could just be selling to, like...
Dude, that's a reality. So, like, when you make those transitions, you need to be prepared to not get a better ROI on your time in this new role than you would doing the old role that you've mastered and you're good at, right? So, like, when you're first starting as a manager, you probably would, even those first couple years, make more money just ripping deals because that's what you're good at and you're dialed at it. But you got to think long term. And it's like, what do you want to be doing for your entire life? And by the way, there's nothing wrong. Like, rep is not a lower station than manager. Like, some people love that. It fills their bucket. They get tons of time freedom, and it's amazing. But if you do want to go lead and accomplish some of these other things, then sometimes you like tensioning a rubber band. It's like, oh, it's stretching and it hurts, and I was more comfortable where I was, but then, pew,
You're off.
Then it takes off. And you can mitigate that transition. You can make it less painful and quicker by preparing now. Like, if you're a rep, start recruiting now. Get a small squad so that when the time in your career comes to be like, I want to go run a team, you've already been doing some of that work.
Yeah, you already got a couple guys that are, like, down for the cause.
Yeah. So to answer your question, like, a rep that says, man, I don't know if I want to manage because I can make more money selling, my first question would be, well, like, what do you want out of life? Like, do you want to lead? Do you want to manage? And if not, then that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you do, then it's like starting a business. Like, you got to invest. You're investing now and making sacrifices now to get long-term dividends in the future.
Dude, and with this industry, it's such an awesome thing that you can invest your time. Like, you're just investing your time into your people.
Yeah.
That's going to, get you the return versus, like, with any other business, like, you got to buy product, you got to buy inventory, you got to do marketing, you need, like, a facility, you need all this stuff just to make your first dollar. Like, I think about restaurants. It's so crazy. Like, dude, they need to buy all their food. They need to staff all their waiters.
I owned a restaurant for a few years. It sucks.
Dude, it's crazy. And then you need to market the service. You need to have all the plates, it's so nuts to me. I'm like, dude, the amount of, like, upfront capital to, like, really make your first dollar is insane.
Door-to-door sales companies take on so much of the risk. They handle all the stuff that we don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like, we sell, we train, and we lead. And we can lean into those three things and make a ton of money while companies take on the risk and do everything else. It's a great model. Yeah.
It's insane. It's really literally like a cheat code if you want to be in business for yourself. It really is. Dude, so now you're for the last, how long has it been since you've been, like, an executive? It's been, like, since I knew you, like 5 years.
I left the field like 4 years ago.
Okay.
And transitioned to full-time strategic work. When I was at Vivint for 8 years, and I was also doing strategic work there, inventing patents and...
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Dude!
I'm a patent holder on multiple smart home patents.
No way.
Helping the company lock down strategic partnerships.
That's crazy.
I was in the CEO of Sprint's house, just like me and him in his living room, like
chilling.
Yeah, pitching him on our company and partnerships and stuff like that. So I've been doing strategic work for a long time, but I transitioned to full-time strategic work or corporate work, whatever you want to call it, like 4 years ago.
Sick, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're still in the field though. Like, you still go out with new reps.
I was knocking yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You had an appointment today.
Yeah, I'll be knocking today too.
Dude, that's so sick.
Yeah, my heart will always be on the doors. And really, what I do now is just an extension of what I used to do, which is serving and supporting sales reps and sales leaders. I always say, if you want to change the world, go help a sales rep.
Do you still get, like, butterflies a little bit, like, when you go hit your first door?
No.
I still get it faintly, like, a little bit. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I've just knocked. I mean, I knocked hard for 14 years, yeah.
Dude, that's such a crazy, amazing skill, too, because it's like, no matter what, dude, if it was like an apocalypse, you could just knock on a door and be like, hey, man, can I get, like, a can of beans or something? Or, like, whatever.
Yeah,
like, you could get any opportunity out of that.
Oh, I always say, like, I got my college degree, but if I had to trade, if one had to disappear, my college degree or the things I learned knocking doors, I'd ditch my college degree in a second.
Dude,
not even experience has been so valuable for my life.
Dude. So now, one thing I'd like to talk about before we transition to the next thing is you're really financially literate. I think that's something that I feel like you're very passionate about. And over the last few years, what I've learned is, wealth is just a habit. It's not even it's nothing crazy. It's just a habit. So how did you kind of come into that information? How did you start to become passionate about that?
I mean, I came into the information just from books. Like, my dad was homeless for a lot of my upbringing. I was raised by a single mom. I did not have, like, financial mentors in my life. It was all just books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, Richest Man in Babylon. Those are three, like, I'd go read those right now.
Yeah.
If you haven't read them.
I have all three of those.
But that's where I learned them. In terms of, like, why I'm so passionate about it, it's because we do have a problem in our industry where we make lots of money but don't build wealth. And I've been in it long enough to see so many people that I care about make insane money, and they're actually in a worse financial position now than when they were broke.
Oh, man.
Because they use the money to create liabilities. And they've locked themselves into a perpetual work cycle because they have to make paychecks in order to support these expenses. And it makes me sad, and time's going to pass, and we're all going to be 50, 60 years old.
And weak.
And there's going to be all these people who they made millions of dollars and they're screwed. And so I made it like a tenet and a staple and a pillar of my sales organization that anyone that worked within my organization would at least understand and would for sure be heavily pressured by me to live in harmony with correct financial principles.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm most proud of is out of all the reps that work for me, all of them that own homes are landlords, all of them.
Let's go.
So if they own property, they own duplexes, they collect rent, and yeah, I'm passionate about it for that reason. I want people to be financially free. I want them to have an amazing life, not just make tons of money and flex on Instagram.
Dude, that's dope. I love it.
Yeah.
So what do you, I feel like, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like I'm the strongest, the smartest, the best I've ever been in this present moment.
Yeah.
So what, like, you being in that position, what's, like, next for you?
Financially?
I mean, just overarching vision.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I put myself on a great path, breadth and depth. So I want to increase the amount of people that I influence, have positive influence on, and I want to deepen that influence. And that's really it. I'm really convinced that when I get to the end of my life, that's the thing where I'll look back and feel happy and satisfied with my time here on earth. If it's like, man, I just wore myself out and gave it everything I had, trying to improve the lives of other people and serve other people and love other people and teach them things and influence them to be better and have a better life.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah.
And so just what does that look, how do you do that, like, at scale, like in your like present state?
Yeah, again, it's one of the reasons I love sales forces, because I'm like, dude, here's a few thousand people that I can directly influence that are making a serious difference in the world.
Yeah.
The work we do, like, you're super key in that mission, helping me to create content online, to get people looking at good content that's going to benefit them rather than just doom scrolling.
Yeah.
So that's a factor. The books, I try and use whatever avenue I can to influence other people.
I totally forgot about the books. Like, dude, probably hundreds of thousands of people, if not more, have consumed your words, like your book. Like, that's huge. Probably the impact you currently have and are going to continue to have is, like, I'm sure you've impacted millions of people. Like, you know what I mean? Just off, like, the books, the content, the direct training, the leadership, like, there's no way the recruiting, there's no way that, like, the hundreds of thousands of people that you've touched have not touched other hundreds of thousands of people.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I think for sure that just blew my mind, like, because all the books that have changed my life, like, that I've read and it, like, impacted me, like, you're one of those guys.
Thanks, man.
That has that information.
I appreciate it, dude.
That's freaking sick.
Yeah.
So, do you any books coming up in the future? Do you have a desire?
New ones?
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't even really intend to write the 2 that I wrote. They just kind of happened. And so, yeah, I have some ideas, but it's kind of a bandwidth thing. Like, so someday. Someday.
Maybe, like, when you retire, you'll just be, like, straight ripping books.
I'd love to, man.
I don't know.
It'd be super
like,
fun, yeah.
Planting seeds.
Yeah.
Well, dude, that's pretty much it. That was Adam Webb's path in a nutshell. I know we could have jammed on, like, for hours going deeper into each one of those ventures, but, dude, thank you so much for coming on, bro.
Dude, thanks for
I know
having me on,
we
man.
Freaking had a little bit of some hiccups, but we got it done, dude.
We're here.
Sick, bro. Well,
You're
thanks.
the man, Oscar.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
Peace. Ugh.